Build Show's on the road today. I am right near downtown Detroit. In fact, Tiger Stadium is like 2 blocks away and the iconic GM building like right around the corner. This is a super cool old neighborhood. I'm here in Detroit for a Builders First Source Build Show live in another day. It's probably past now that you're watching this. But while I'm here, I've got to visit with a couple builders, and we're gonna go see Shane Overbey with Artisan Contracting. He's doing some work in this building, the Carlton. We're on John R. Street. Built in the 1920s, this 100-year-old building. Shane is doing a full retrofit for a kitchen bar space. I'm really not super familiar with commercial construction and restaurant bar work, especially not in a 100-year-old building. Let's go meet Shane and see what's cool. Today's Build Show from Detroit. Let's get going. Hey, Shane.
Hey, Matt.
Thanks for having me, brother.
Good to see you.
What a gorgeous old building. What are we talking about? What are you going to do here?
This is going to be a bar restaurant. It's going to be called Bar Pigalle. So this was a blank space when we walked in, and now we're building it out to be all front of house here. You'll have your banquettes and your built-in seating and tables. You'll have your full bar and then your full commercial kitchen.
So this is in some respects like a mini super high-end custom home. I mean, this is what, 800 square feet or so, 1,000 square feet?
Absolutely. It's like a very custom home. There's a lot of complicated parts and pieces that go into this.
I was gonna say, for sure.
Yeah.
Now what's cool for me as a Newtown guy, you know, Austin doesn't have a lot of cool old buildings. It's fun to see this old 1920s building where you can see the concrete columns. So just like new construction, the concrete, but then you've got this really cool old block that the original block layers filled in, and then on the outside clad with that real pretty stone and brick.
Correct. So this is pretty representative of what you have in Detroit, a building that would have been built in, you know, the late teens, early 20s. So this is obviously all steel and concrete column construction, and then you have the fire block.
That's cool.
Fill in.
And what will you cover all this with?
We aren't going to cover this. This is going to stay exposed. It's the look that they're after. If
a little
you look
old
at these
and new.
columns, yep, we had to cover up some plumbing. That's why we have new drywall. But even the graffiti from when the building was vacant is going to stay
That's
exposed.
cool.
Yeah, that wall is going to stay exposed. Millwork will fill that in, and mirror panels go in the back bar, but everything around that's going to stay exposed.
Beautiful millwork. This looks like maybe walnut and brass going on here. Is that what's happening?
Yep, this is Virtuoso Design Build. They do all of our millwork, so we've got some very cool features.
What is that I'm seeing here?
These are custom swoops. I don't know what else to call them.
Like an elephant tusk almost.
Exactly. They're going to be in a couple different locations. So they'll be here along the bar coming up into the dining room.
Okay.
And then they will be on the back of the banquettes going up and over the foyer entry. So it's Detroit, it's cold in the winter. We have a hood system going obviously in the kitchen. So we're pulling air into the building. So what happens here in the winter is when those doors open, the cold air is going to come rushing in here and get everyone
freezing cold.
Exactly.
It's 5 degrees outside. So then this kind of over top and with some glass in it.
Yeah, we're going to
really
fill in
cold.
between with glass panels to keep that air from coming directly into the restaurant. So the swoops will go up, mount to the ceiling and that wall, and then we'll fill in with glass panels between.
Okay, that makes sense. Man, super detailed. Nice job on that. Talk to me about this kitchen space. You know, I've never done a commercial kitchen, commercial bar build out. I suspect there's a lot of detail that happens in this short amount of space.
There's a lot of detail that goes in here. So when you get into these bars and these bar die walls, obviously there's a lot of power, there's a lot of plumbing, there's a lot of kitchen equipment that we have to factor into. So how do we get all of the drains and the water lines and the power outlets where we need them around the kitchen equipment? If you look back there, you don't have a lot of room. You have to have enough space for the bartenders to be able to move freely.
Yeah, it's tight.
Yes, so if we miss an electric outlet location, let's say behind this cooler, this cooler might not push all of the way back against the wall, and it's going to impede on their walking space. So there's a lot of equipment back here. So what we always do when we do these bars in any restaurant is we come in with the plumber, the electrician, the millwork contractor, the kitchen equipment supplier, and my crew, and we lay everything out. And everyone just has to do a
So everyone's on site at one time.
Everyone's on site. All of the spec sheets are printed out so that we can see right where the hot and cold water hookups are for this sink, right where the drain is for this glass rinser. because again, we have to get the drains in the right location.
That's on.
That works, yeah. Just passed our plumbing inspection today. Everything should work on the plumbing end. So
That's
yeah, we have
cool.
to make sure that we get every location right. And then since it's a bar, you also have point of sale. So you have bartenders taking order. They're going to have computer screens, so we're wired for that down at
tight.
the other end. We have bar taps, which is another equipment supplier that's independent of the kitchen equipment
Yeah,
supplier.
because you got some beer taps going on down here,
Yep,
right?
these are going to be the beer taps, which will mount here.
Look at all the electronics. We got water. We got wires. I mean, this in some ways makes a custom kitchen for a house look fairly easy, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, especially when you get into this millwork. So we have mirrors, we have glass shelves, we have outlets that are required for specific equipment.
All your liquor's
that
on
sits
display,
here.
probably.
All of our liquor, very heavy. We have to make sure that the shelves don't break, fall off of the wall. And then we have to get lighting in this as well. So, I mean, this is something, you know, that's never been built before. So there's a lot of putting our heads together and figuring it out.
Yeah, and you're doing that all in a 100-year-old building, too.
Exactly.
That's pretty wild. Give me a tour of the kitchen. You know, I've always wondered in commercial kitchens, for instance, I know that there's some requirement for makeup air. This hood looks ginormous. How do you get all that coordinated? And is this an off-the-shelf part, or is this custom built?
It's custom built. So all of these, you are correct. This is an exhaust hood, just pulling air out, and then we have to make that air up with a makeup air. So we're introducing air and we're exhausting it so that the pressure doesn't become super negative.
Okay, so these ducts are actually bringing outside air so that then it can be sucked up here.
Correct. It's conditioned outside air, so in the summer it's actually cool, and it's heated in the winter so that we aren't bringing in, you know, warm, humid air in the summer in a kitchen that's already hot. And same thing in the winter. We don't want to be bringing in 20-degree air in here.
So that's a HVAC unit that's just for the makeup air, basically.
Correct. It is tied in with this. They're wired together, so if there's ever any kind of grease fire, both units shut down.
Oh my gosh.
Well, actually, the hood stays on, the makeup air turns off because we want to pull the smoke out of here, but we don't want to feed the flames with oxygen.
And that's what all those nozzles are, I'm assuming.
That's all of these nozzles, correct.
And I saw that tank right there. Is that tank some kind of foam or something that's being injected to stop a fire?
Yeah, it's an Ansel system specifically designed to stop a grease fire, and that only goes off underneath the hood here. That's separate from the building's fire suppression system.
Whoa. And then this is the gas line that feeds all that. What's this red device on the gas line that I'm seeing there?
That is your emergency shutoff. So again, when there's a grease fire, the exhaust fan stays on, makeup air turns off, that valve closes, so we stop supplying gas to this entire cook line, and all of the electricity behind the cook line shuts off.
Whoa.
So it's very specific on how it works, and it's a lot of fun when we do the inspection because we have to have the electrical inspector, building inspector, fire marshal, mechanical inspector. I think that's it on site. And we set this thing off and the whole fire alarm goes off. And the fire suppression or the Ansel system on this part goes off, and they've got balloons on these, so the balloons blow up and pop, and it's a very fun inspection to do.
That's pretty wild. Now, every kitchen I've ever seen in the cool part of town has some amount of white subway tile in the kitchen. What's up with white subway tile in kitchens?
It's aesthetically pleasing and it meets health department standards. So everything in a kitchen has to be wipeable or cleanable. So we're allowed to use FRP, which is what you see on that wall.
That's this kind of corrugated plastic looking, so you can wipe it down, in other words.
Yep.
It's not just drywall.
No, correct. It's fiberglass reinforced plastic, FRP.
Okay, gotcha.
So
And these ceiling tiles look like
ceiling
there's something
tiles are
similar.
all vinyl wrapped as well.
Huh.
The only problem with the FRP though is it doesn't look that nice. So what we did here was we went with the subway tile on this wall because if you're sitting at the bar or anywhere in the front of house area, you're looking in and mainly seeing the tile.
Yeah, makes sense.
Instead of the FRP.
And so that's why the stainless everywhere in these commercial kitchens, the cabinets, the drawer fronts, probably the boxes, because it can then all be wiped down.
Correct.
And I'm assuming this is some kind of epoxy finish, which probably also serves the same duties,
Yep,
right?
this is an epoxy slurry floor, so same thing. It has to be, have some friction so that you don't slip and fall when it gets wet and greasy back here, but it also has to be cleanable.
It's wild. Shane, really appreciate the tour, man. Very kind of you.
Bet. Thanks for coming.
Tell me the name of the restaurant for people that want to come see this place at some point.
Bar Pigalle, so it's named after the Pigalle district in Paris, which houses the famous Moulin Rouge.
And we are in what area of Detroit here?
This is Brush Park.
Brush Park, okay. Very cool, guys. More from Detroit, hopefully coming up soon. Shane and I are about to give a build show live on Wednesday with Builders First Source. In the future, you should definitely sign up for those so you can be in the audience, either live if you were here in Detroit, or you can be watching it online with Zoom. But we'll post those later too, because we're actually going to go see Shane and another contractor's jobs. And Shane and I are going to be talking about specifically in this webinar, along with Brent Hall from Build Show Network, what things have we learned in doing these renovations that we can apply to new construction and vice versa. But man, I really appreciate the tour, Shane. Great work, guys. Artisan Contracting here in Detroit. If you're not currently a subscriber, guys, hit that subscribe button below. We've got new content here every Tuesday and every Friday. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram. Otherwise, we'll see you next time on The Build Show.